In this video, we're going to take the patterns that we just drafted, the back and the front. We're going to lay them out on our muslin fabric. We're going to pin them, cut them out, and mark off all the important areas that we need for our swimsuit. Now that we have our patterns, we're going to lay them out on the muslin fabric and make sure that your fold line is nice and crisp so that your center front will lay on the fold line. And what I like to do is I put my pins just about a 1/4 inch in from the fold line just to anchor the pattern so that it doesn't move. And we put our pins about 2 inches apart, hopefully going in the same direction in the seam allowance. Now on the back, since we have the salvage edge on the fabric and we're going to keep it open when we fit, you're going to put it on like a blouse with the back open. So what we want to do is lay the pattern on the salvage edge and anchor that in the center so it doesn't move. Just like the front, we pin all the way around on the shoulder dart and the neck edge and on our corners. Now we have both patterns pinned and ready to cut. The first cut that we're going to do is on the cutting line here, and this is our stitching line. Now remember, I gave an extra seam allowance because I'm using a dress form. So I have a little extra room on my pattern for my dress form, which in the fitting we're going to more than likely take it all the way out. In the next video we'll do a fitting. We're going to cut them on this cutting line at the dart legs. What I like to do is I like to clip the dart leg ends while the pattern is on. As we pull the pins out, we will mark our dart legs. Stick the pin at the top of the dart leg through the fabric, and we'll put one right at the apex. Apex is very important, and we'll put one right at the bust dart. Then we fold over the pattern right where the pins are, and we just put a mark right there. I always mark my dart legs where I'm going to draw, and we have it on the bust here. Take the pattern off. We're going to draw lines to connect our darts. This is your apex. It's very important that you mark that very clearly. And we cut the back same as the front. The 3/4 mark that we made, and we snip our dart legs like we did in the front and on the shoulder seam. As we pull the pins out, we're going to put them in our darts. We pull the pattern back. We mark where the end of the dart is, and we mark where we cut. As we mark our dart legs, measure off 3/4 on both sides. There you have your pattern pieces ready to sew up. And next we're going to go to the ironing board and we're going to iron them out. And then we're going to sew it up and make a fitter. Now that we have our bodice cut and all of our pieces are marked and ready to iron. We're going to take our dart, we're going to pinch it out right here, and we're going to flip it over and fold it right at the marks where we have cut. We want to follow our pin marks so that it's nice and you can see through the muslin, and you can see that the legs match together, and you want the edges to match, and we're just going to press that. When we stitch along this mark here, we get a nice crispy, even finish, and it looks like that. And then we have a dart leg that's finished. So we're going to iron all of our dart legs just like that, and then we're going to do the back, and we want to stay on the black because that way it identifies what your front and your back is, your inside and your outside, so to speak. And our shoulder dart, we're going to eliminate when we draft the swimsuit, but we want to make sure that it fits. There's our ironing of our back, and we want to make sure that we mark our 3/4 mark on our center back, because what we're going to do when we get to the fitting is we're going to fold one of these over, and we're going to lay it down like this, and we're going to pin that on the body. Now that we have the bodice pieces ironed and we have all of our darts in perfect order, we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew in the darts and assemble the fitter. So now we have our pieces that we've ironed, and we're just going to take our crease that we made, fold it, it's all ready to go, put it on the machine, and we're just going to sew like this and let the machine do the work. You don't have to pull and you don't have to push. You just let the feed dog of the machine pull. I always do a little backspace, give us a little firm grip there. Pull up our needle. We can use our little snippers, snip that, and then we have our dart. You can press this if you want. You don't really have to. When you put this on the body, it's going to flatten out. We want to flatten out the bust dart right here. Flatten it so that it follows the side seam down. And sometimes we can put a pin in it just to keep it still. We also have our tool here. It's called a measuring gauge. It's a very effective tool, and since we're using 5/8, we're going to mark off our 5/8 point right here, you can see. And what we can do is put it down, and that's what our little ridges on our presser foot gauge plate are for. Presser foot down, put our gauge in, and we're right at 5/8 seam allowance. And we want to make sure that it's flat. And there you have your side seam. And we're going to do the same thing to the shoulder seam so that it's facing toward the neck edge, and you can see it's perfectly flat. Our arm's eye points are going to match up nicely. And that concludes our layout and pinning segment of this video. In the next video, we're going to do a fitter. I'll see you in the next video.